All right, Leo. I definitely feel like this month is a big throat chakra month. Because mum's the word is just not going to benefit you anymore. And whatever and wherever you've been holding back. If you've been holding back from saying how frustrated you are, how happy you are, anything that you need to get off your chest, I feel like needs to happen this month because your throat chakra is really, really trying to open. And whatever you hold back out of fear of rejection, out of fear that it's not going to be received well, out of fear that it's going to start a fight, out of fear that it's going to make you look vulnerable, whatever the case may be, I feel like it really needs to get up and out. Because what's interesting is these cards fell like this. And the Three of Wands, right, is about expansion, is about putting this period of time where we're just formulating the vision, trying to put the pieces together, trying to make a decision about which way we want to go. The Three of Wands says, I'm ready and I'm bold, right? And I'm ready to live my truth. I'm ready to put the past behind me. I'm ready to expand myself, my life, and what is possible for me. And with that comes the Six of Pentacles, which requires healthy relationships. It requires you to be aware of what you're giving your time to and why. And beyond that, I feel like this is talking about energetic currency. And in order to move forward in life, I feel like you need to restructure your boundaries and restructure the way that you feed situations. What takes up more time and space in your mind than other things? And behind that, like I said, we have the Page of Swords. And the Page of Swords is usually what we hold in. So I feel like there are relationships where you have either grappled for power, other people have grappled for power. You probably have both in different aspects of your life. And I do feel that you genuinely want to move things forward, but it's going to require that you come up off whatever it is that you've been holding back verbally. Okay? Because you may have an idea of how a relationship should advance, how a work partnership should advance, a friendship should advance, whatever. But I feel like you're keeping it to yourself. And this is something that requires all people to be on board, because this is about giving and receiving. And if you have needs that are not getting met, or if someone has needs that aren't getting met in this scenario, they need to be verbalized, okay? Because you've done all the observing that you can do. Now is the time to launch that, because over here we have the Ten of Cups with Justice. And it's saying that both of these cards have the scales. So the two cards in the deck that have scales are both up. So that if you want balance, if you want reciprocity, if you want things to feel even, again, if you want to feel like you have some semblance of a routine, if you want to feel energized after you do the things that you do and around people that you spend time with, I feel like the key is to speak your truth. Because Justice is saying it doesn't matter what you think is going to happen when you make that judgment, right? Because Justice has his sword so upright. So his mind is clear, right? And the background has the purple curtain. So and all of these cards are blue. So when you speak what is true on an intuitive level, it will clear out all of that junk in your throat. And, what I love about the Justice card is he has like every single color of the chakras in his card. So he is speaking from alignment. So when you speak from alignment, you bring about the best case scenario. And sometimes when we hold back our truth or hold back what we want to say, we'll be like, well, I don't think I could have this perfect outcome. Or, oh, when I speak this, it'll alter this. Or when I speak that, it'll change how this person feels. But that's not for us to decide. And you have to believe that when you speak your truth and when you say what your needs are, when you say what would be fair to you and what you need to feel appreciated, that everything will work out in your favor. Okay, this can even be if some of you have been wanting to restructure a contract or have been thinking about getting married or wanting to get divorced even, you have to say what's real. No matter how you think it's going to be received. And that's not to say that you're going to start an argument. I don't see this as an argumentative energy. It just, things need to move forward. And the way that you're going to move them forward to get exactly what you deserve and you really feel, is best for you, you're just going to have to let the cat out the bag. All right, Leo, we have a very interesting spread. Before I get into it, I just want to remind you that I do mid-month extended readings and love readings. That info is in the description box and how you can get access to those. I don't do them right away, like immediately after this. Like other readers, I let the energy transpire a little bit. So on my website, it explains all that. And now's a great time to get a year ahead reading. Again, you can book that with me in the description box. So, despite these cards, right, not the oracles, not really talking about love, we have this over here. The overall energy that Leo is getting initiated into is man holding a heart and caring connections. Now, I also want to say that when I was pulling the cards for Spirit's advice, I had like a little stack fall out that I ended up putting back, but the two that flipped over were the 5 of Wands and the 8 of Wands. And right away, I was like, just stop fighting. Just stop fighting. So if there's someone in your love life that is there's a constant quarrel with them, and I feel like, okay, some of you had a mother or have a mother that, especially for the men watching this, I feel like always argues with you. Or she's like, obviously you love her, she's your mother, but she's like hard to love. You know what I'm saying? Like she has traits that really like grind on you, and she's made you like, you know, growing up you had to love her in a particular type of way. And this could be the women watching this too. But I feel like based on how these oracle cards look and the other cards look, notice how this is all, I mean, we have a little bit of wands, but this is pentacles and swords, right? And we have a lot of mercurial energy with the hermit here and the magician and the queen of swords. This is very much like Gemini, Virgo, you know, could be Aquarius or Libra, but there's a lot of energy around love not being this sexual thing, love not being this very how do I feel type of thing. I don't think that's up for debate for you right now. It's what's practical, pentacles, and what does it make me, like, how do I think about it? Where's my mind at when I think about it, right? Swords. So I feel like, one, if you've been asking other people about what you should do with your love life, especially if there's been someone that you've been like on and off with or in a circle with or thinking about taking back or all that kind of stuff. First of all, Mercury's in retrograde, okay? And Venus is now direct, and it's going to move through Scorpio all over again. It's not quite there yet. So I feel like it's one of the most important things I've learned about romance and dating and things like that is like, everyone has their own perspective, and it can be kind of, for lack of a better word, we'll say damaging to ask other people what you should do about your private relationships. Not because they don't mean well, but they're not you. They don't know what you're really looking for, what would really make you happy. They don't know what kind of trauma you've experienced or the other person's experienced. And it's just everyone's perspective is personal because it happens and is formulated through their eyes. Okay? And this reading is not necessarily for couples or people that are, you know, dealing with a specific person. But like caring connections is a one-on-one relationship type of thing. And as a man watching this, if you've had a hard time offering your heart to somebody, we're going to find out why. And women, I feel like if you've had trouble attracting a man that's like ready for love, I feel like this is for you. Or if you have men that are willing to do that, and obviously you could be dating the same sex, but if you have a hard time accepting someone's love offer because you don't really trust them or you're not really sure, this is what we're kind of talking about this month, because the man holding a heart card is a masculine energy, right? The idea that someone is making an active, like a proactive gesture to offer you their love, to offer you affection, to offer you comfort, right? And caring connections is about, I mean, look at the man behind her holding her. She's allowing herself to be vulnerable in the arms of someone that she trusts. And with the overall energy of the Page of Pentacles, I do feel that whatever you've been going through, there's a lot more, I feel like, that you need to pick up of what has transpired. There's some type of nuanced message that if you get lost in the, well, he did this or she did this and made me feel this and I don't know who they think they are, like if you get caught up in all of that, the stories, the who, the what, you're going to miss the nuance because there's a lot to be perceptive about this month. And I feel like it's kind of difficult with Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius because, you know, Sagittarius wants more, right? They want to learn, they want to experience, they want to have fun. And Mercury going retrograde in that is like, first of all, it's a little bit of a buzzkill. Second of all, it's also been the energy of like, if you say something wild now, you're not going to be able to take it back. I've had to check myself. Other people I know have had to check themselves because it's like, it's that kind of energy where if you open your mouth, it's like the dragon that spits fire. You're going to burn a bridge that is going to become unrepairable. So I feel like it's important to also, yes, speak your mind, but with all these pentacles and these swords, make sure you really contemplated what it is and if it's got roots in the physical reality. Because the Page of Pentacles is asking you to be observant and to ask you what spirit is pushing you to learn at this time. Because there is a message here about learning. Now, this is a 9 and this is a 5. So that ends up being 14 and 5 again. So again, we have a little bit of a struggle energy, right? 5 for me is always like a little bit of a struggle, a little bit of a push and pull and feeling like some of you may feel like you always have to jump through hoops to have a successful love relationship, not attract people, not have sex, have a love relationship, right? A committed or caring, respectable, you know, unified relationship. And love is not a battlefield, regardless of what Pat Benatar has said. And what you're being asked to release this month, I don't stop throwing things. We have the 7 of Wands with the rune Success. And we have the Ace of Swords with the rune Protection. And before I even pulled the runes, I thought to myself, you don't have to defend what you know to be true. Period. Okay? The Ace of Swords also not only is a new beginning on a mental scape, it's a new beginning after a difficult time, after a period of fog. And I'll tell you, there is no fog here. So if you've been feeling like really confused or unsure, I feel like that was probably more so caused because of like, how, you know, you kind of like, I really want to say like pheromones, like hormonal type shit, or, you know, you're getting lost in the sauce, like, oh, this is so exciting, or this is lusty, or whatever. Because the 7 of Wands is saying that, you know, on a romantic scale, you may have had a lot of people vying for your attention. Or you may have had a lot of people that just want a piece of you, whatever that means. This could even be responsibilities like, you know, your boss and your mother and your whatever. And I feel like there may have been a fear that you can't handle that level of attention, or you can't like juggle that many balls or that many responsibilities. But also, I feel like with the Success rune here, just because you can successfully like ward off people or really hold your ground or really make sure that like no one's going to cross you or no one's going to disrupt your agenda, doesn't mean that it's necessarily serving you. Because the Ace of Swords with Protection is saying that this idea that you need to protect your voice or protect... this could even be like intellectual property. Like, I just almost feel like, because the 7 of Wands is a protective type of energy as well. And it's like, you don't need any more lessons in being defensive. You don't need any more lessons in being guarded. Because a lot of us do have experiences around, especially romantic relationships, where we were codependent. Or we watched someone else be codependent. Or maybe we've been an enabler, or maybe we've really lost ourselves in lovers. And were like, I'm never doing that again. So you've gone through this cycle where you've done everything to make sure that that never happens again, to the point that you won't even allow people to share space with you, or you won't allow people to take up too much room in your life because you're afraid that you're going to lose yourself. And Spirit is saying that, like, no, you've successfully learned how to draw boundaries, and you know what thoughts are yours, you know what thoughts are theirs, you know how to think for yourself, you know that you can always have your own voice and all these kind of things, and you don't need to do the most to protect yourself. And the door that's not open for you that was once closed is the Four of Pentacles with the Wheel of Fortune. On the Wheel of Fortune, we have the rune Strength. So if you've been in a cycle for quite some time, again, where it's like you want to connect, but just something falls flat, or you care about people, or you love people, and giving them that heart, because look at, he has this heart cut out of his pants. So it's this idea that, like, there's somebody that you really want to give a piece of yourself to, okay? And I feel like this connection that you have with this person is different than others, because I think that a lot of you are used to, like, sexual energy being at the forefront, or like lusty, like, oh, I gotta have you type of energy being at the forefront. And I don't think it's really like that with this person. Or you've gotten to the place where you recognize that that's fine and dandy, but that's not necessarily sustainable on a long term. And that's not to say that you're going to all of a sudden just not have sexual chemistry with the people that you're with. That's not it at all. It's just not going to be the most dominant energy, right? And in this cycle that you've been in, I feel that you've really strengthened your ability to, quote, guide the wheel, guide the way that things turn in your favor or don't turn in your favor. But also with the Four of Pentacles here, there's this idea that strength comes from control. And on some level, that's correct. Like, we only have control over ourselves. We can only control what we do, what moves we make, what we accept, all that kind of stuff. We can't control other people. And that's when people that have, like, root chakra type of issues, or control, wanting to control things in order to feel safe, because usually that's what it is. People want to control things to feel safe. Like, oh, if I'm in control, or if I determine when we see each other, and I'm always the one that initiates, conversation, whatever the case may be, that means that I can't get bamboozled. You know what I mean? But the Four of Pentacles is saying that, again, like this, there's nothing left to cling to or defend, because, first of all, nothing can get taken from us that is not already up for grabs. So if you've already determined that all you're offering is a healthy dose of love, then, connecting with somebody on that level is not going to rob you of your autonomy. And you're coming into a time where you can put these new set of skills to the test. You can show yourself in spirit that you have learned a valuable lesson and you're ready to continue on to the next phase of learning, right? You're going from elementary school to middle school. But I feel like you're still having these memories of times where that was not really the case, where you thought you learned, but, the wound is still there, right? You still have your bandage on. And this could be, we got the Queen and King of Cups back to back. Interesting. And I feel like you're just not quite ready yet to, like, reveal all of how you feel, because you're trying to get the practical end of it together. But I feel like it's important to not be stingy with your time, stingy with your resources. Again, obviously not to the point where you're burning yourself out or extending yourself in a way that you can't maintain. But I feel like you have built up a lot more strength than you realize. So if you've been avoiding relationships because you didn't think you had the priorities in order to handle it, the money in order to handle it, all that kind of stuff, I feel like you actually do, and it's safe now. Your current energy as it relates to all of this. In your head, we have the Six of Swords. In your heart, the Queen of Swords with the rune Luck. And in your foundation, we have the Magician. So again, for some of you, this is dealing with an air sign or Virgo. Like I said before, particularly a Gemini or a Virgo. But at the root of everything with the Magician, there's a reminder that the power begins and ends with you, right? That the power that you desire, the amount of control that you desire or that you fear letting someone in will rob you of, is always available with you. Because the Magician, first of all, can do anything with the tools that he has in front of you. I just feel like this is about not doubting your power, because I really feel like some of you are feeling like your career, your money, your routine, your life will be like insanely altered by letting in a love relationship. And that's not to say that it won't be altered on some level, but I feel like you think it's like one has to be traded off for the other. And the Magician is saying you will always be your own person. And being malleable, right? Because the Magician can be whatever he wants to be. Being malleable is a gift, right? And I know that you're a fixed sign in general. So you're still always going to do things your own way. But like the insane lack of fire here is really saying that it's time to adapt. And that a true leader, King of Wands status, a true leader puts his skills to the test. Okay? And the power that you're seeking, the control that you're seeking comes from within. So if you want to get a better grip on how you feel, on how you move, on what motivates you, all of that lies within you. Because the Queen of Swords in your heart space with the rune luck is, I feel like some of you, especially if you have an air sign moon, I feel like for you, love has to be a logical move. Like you have to be able to understand on a mental level why it's a smart idea. So if that's the case, even though emotions aren't meant to be experienced as thoughts, but I get it, literally write a list down about what letting this person in, or a person, right, that you know you would attract that is really trying to offer you something genuine, how would it add to your life? And then write down what it would subtract from your life. And then read the subtraction list and go down the list and ask yourself, can a person really take these from me unless I was trying to give them up? And I think that you'll find that a lot of them are fear-based, if not all of them. Also, I feel like there's something here about you may have had a rhetoric around like you're unlucky in love. Like you constantly strike out. And you're having to rewrite that story as well, because the Queen of Swords is very decisive and she's also future focused. So holding on to narratives of the past will no longer serve you, especially if you're trying to change your luck right here, right? If you want to strengthen and change the luck that you've had in love, it's important that you rewrite that story. And with the Six of Swords here in your headspace, that's just echoing the same message. And what I always pay attention to with the Six of Swords, though it talks about moving on, he's not alone. He has his family in the boat. And whether you need to move on from the example that your parents gave you, or that you always saw growing up, or that have happened to you in the past, like this could literally be like you're still expecting your current love interest to be like your first boyfriend or girlfriend that like happened 6 years ago, or in 2006, like forever ago. But I feel like you need to digest the fact that love can be peaceful. And if the love that you've been attracting, or the connection that you've been in leaves you feeling unsure, leaves you feeling like you don't know where you stand, okay, know that you also don't have to tolerate that. And that's not someone that wants to offer you genuine love. Even if they think they do, it's coming from a wounded place. Because the Six of Swords says we don't have to identify with struggle and strife. We can move on to a place that echoes calm, right? And that is built on also peaceful communication. So if you've been arguing with somebody because you feel like they don't believe you, or you guys are just always talking at each other instead of listening, I feel like both of you need to agree to disagree. And whether that means ending the relationship or not, You will know on your own personal terms, but also to bury the hatchet on something, right? Whether it be something that hurts you in the current relationship you're in or one that you've had in the past, these swords are in front of them. So it's not to say that like all of it's going to be behind you tomorrow, that it won't linger in your memory for some time. But that doesn't mean you need to keep bringing it up and bringing it to the forefront. Give yourself the time and the leeway to move past things. Spirit's advice for you on how to handle that energy is the Hermit with the Two of Wands. And on the Two of Wands, we have the rune Wisdom. So obviously the Hermit talks about time alone and self-reflection. And I feel like, obviously if you're in an amazing relationship, this doesn't apply to you. But if you're single or dating or somewhere in between, but not in a, loyal, committed relationship at this time, I feel like it is a time where you're taking a break from your partner just to get really clear on why things haven't been working, or what has been the disruptor in the relationship. And I feel like a lot of you are at a crossroads that only you can say which road to take. And that's what I was saying in the beginning about not really time to consult other people. Because the Two of Wands with Wisdom is saying that when we picture what we want for ourselves, what our future would look like, what's possible for ourselves and this person or a potential partner, we have to really draw upon our ever-evolving understanding of our own personal psychological landscape with the Hermit here. And if you've been living extrovertedly for a while, where you don't really check in with yourself, or you're just too busy to really see, like, what do I want? Because sometimes we're fighting for something that we don't even really want. We are just used to it. It's just comfortable. It's just something that is just like normal to us. But I feel like with the Two of Wands here, this is saying like, if you've been continuing down the same path for a while and it's not brought you any satisfaction, why not try the other one? But you're only going to know which choice is really best for you unless you spend time on your own and sort things out on your own. I also feel like now is just not a great time to, again, like I said, listen to other people. I feel like other people don't know what you know, okay? So the Hermit also is a little bit intuitive, and it also, again, like this rune, it requires wisdom. There's something sage about the information that you need to gather, okay? And only you have it. It's between you and your God, you and your source. The most likely outcome moving into January, we have the Ten of Swords, and we have the Seven of Pentacles. And on the Seven of Pentacles, we have the rune Wealth. So some of you may have been waiting to have a certain amount of money in the bank, or to sort out debt, or to sort out whatever, something physical, financial, right? It could be even like a house, like you wanted to, move out and get a certain type of place before you entered a relationship. But I just feel like, I feel like it's time to stop waiting. Okay, the Ten of Swords is an ending, and the Seven of Pentacles is worrying about when things are going to happen. I feel like it's time to stop waiting and start living, okay? Because there's some situation, for some of you, you are going to decide to end a relationship, okay? That's just is what it is. You've been undecided about it, and some of you aren't happy, and that's what you'll do. And I feel like you'll know that if that's the case. For others of you, I feel like it's time for you to stop waiting for the perfect opportunity to enter something, or the perfect opportunity to manifest something. Because the Wealth rune with the Seven of Pentacles is saying like you're waiting for things to bloom and you're just never sure when they're going to happen, but it just makes you feel mentally debilitated. Like, I just don't think that you feel good about it. But Spirit, further clarify this this Ten of Swords for Leos moving into January. Oh, we have the Star. What else? The Star and dun, dun, dun. What's interesting is the Star is seen in the Hermit's lantern. The Star and what else? Ten of Swords. Ooh, okay. So, oh, then we got the Seven of Pentacles in the bottom of this deck. So the Star with the Eight of Swords together as the clarifier for the Ten of Swords, I feel like you just need to stop acting like whatever you want isn't possible. Because the Star requires vulnerability. If you want miracles to happen, you have to be willing to stand in your vulnerability and claim that, to connect with somebody, to take a chance, to take a risk, right? But, and it's like, these two cards together are saying, like, I don't think anything is possible for me. It's a lot of fear energy. And if you desire it, it can be yours. You would not desire something that couldn't be yours. And that's not to say that it's going to come from a specific person, because that we don't have control over. But I feel like when you end this mentality that you're constantly getting iced out of what you want, or that you're constantly having to struggle for what you want, and that it's just so much work, you'll stop waiting for your day in the sun to come. Yeah, you'll stop waiting for the abundance to arrive, because there we have the Eight of Wands right there. Things will move a lot quicker. There's no waiting. It's time for grabbing. You got to grab life by the horns or whatever. All right, Leo, it's been real. I love you. Peace.